Hello, I hope you're doing fine. Well, I wanted to record this short video in order to cover the content about metric that we were supposed to study today in class, and that's also going to be on the final test. I'm gonna try to keep it as short as possible. Well, in this presentation, we are going to first study about syllable division, then about a poetic feat, and then about meter, right, which is the topic for today. I already told you in the presentation last class that meter has to do with the rhythm poetry has in order to be a little bit more musical and easier to be remembered. So on our next slide, okay, we'll start with syllables, right? So in English, we have syllable division depending on the vowel sound that the amount of vowel sounds that we have in a word, right? Here I have some examples of syllable divisions. For example, angel has 2 syllables and complete has 2 syllables. Something that's important to know when we are studying meter is that words have particular stress. For example, angel has a stress on the first syllable and complete has a stress on the second syllable, right? For example, we say angel, we don't say angel, right? And we say complete, not complete, right? Okay, so here are more examples of syllable division and the stress they have, right? Poem, we have the stress on the first one, and we have another syllable, which is unstressed, right? Poetry has 3 syllables, poetry, right? We have 1 that is stressed at the beginning and 2 that are non-stressed. Relief, we have the stress at the end, right? We have 1 unstressed syllable and 1 stressed syllable. The same thing in these other examples. Recommend, 2 unstressed syllables and 1 stressed syllable. So why is it important that we understand well the stressed and unstressed syllables in a word? Because in order to study meter, we need to have that very clear. That's the first step. Okay, to the study of identifying the different patterns of rhythm in a sentence, we call it scansion, right? When we do a scansion is when we are studying or analyzing the different patterns of the stress that we have in a sentence. So right here, give me a second so I can move this. Okay, in this example, we have at the bottom, we have an scansion example, right? This symbol right here indicates that there is an unstressed syllable. And this right here that looks like a tilde in Spanish is telling us that this is a stressed syllable, right? So let's look at this poem, right? We have 1 unstressed, 1 that is stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stress, unstressed, stress, unstressed, stress. That is a pattern, right? Next, right? I'm gonna skip that slide. Okay, so when we analyze meter, we count the feet in a line, right? A feet in a line is determined by a group of foot, right? This is an example, right, of the analysis of poetic feet in a line. I'm gonna tell you more about that, right? So there are 5 main different patterns of poetic feet, right? The first one is called the iambic. Then we have the trochaic, the anapestic, the dactylic and the spondaic. I'm going to explain to you what they are, right? The first one, iambic, okay? It's formed by one unstressed syllable that is followed by one stressed syllable. So in this word, repose, we have one foot, right? It is one foot. In believe, we have another foot. And in complete, we have another foot. That foot, since it is formed by one unstressed syllable and one stressed syllable, is called iambic, right? Then the trochaic. The trochaic is formed by one syllable that is stressed and one that is not stressed. For example, garland or speaking or belly. Okay. Then in the case of the anapestic, we have two unstressed syllables and one that is stressed. Now, the pattern doesn't mean that it has to be just one word. We could have one foot that is formed by different words. It could be one word or different words as well. Like in this case, on the road, we have two unstressed syllables and one that is stressed. Okay. Usually, and this is important, when we have a foot that is formed by different words, usually the words that are unstressed are function words, right? You are probably familiar with the concepts of function and content words. And if you do not, then next class we are going to like study a little bit more about it, right? But as you see, like these are function words, on and the, because it's a preposition and an article. So they are usually unstressed. And road, that is a noun, is stressed because it's a content word. And in the dactylic pattern, we have one syllable that is stressed and two that are unstressed. It's the other way around from the anapestic. We have other example here, galloping, and also fortunate, Saturday, daffodil, murmuring, and rhapsody. And in the spondaic pattern, all of the words in the line are stressed. That is in order to create a tone of passion and emphasis in the poem, like in the holy, 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 right? All of them are like stressed. And those are some examples. Heartbreak, because we have there two nouns, well, two content words, sorry. Or in out, out. And well, these are like other iambic foot examples, right? Like behold, destroyed, and the sun, and watch. And this is how it looks like in a full sentence, right? We studied now what the examples that we just saw are examples of food separately, but this is the way they actually look in a poem, right? In this case, we have one iambic, another one, another one, and another one, and another one, right? We have five feet, right? That is the pattern. And depending on the amount of feet we have in a line, then they have a particular name, right? Okay, this is a trochaic poem, right? As you can see here, they have used the pattern of an stressed syllable followed by an unstressed. Another stress, one unstressed. Stress and stress, and stress and stress. All this poem has a trochaic feet. This is anapestic, right? There was an old man with a beard who said, it's just as I feared, right? Well, they are using right here rhyme, sorry, as well, in order to create musicality. Okay, this is an example of a dactylic poem. And here you have some information on the Espondaic poem. I'm going to upload this PowerPoint to Aula Virtual so you can like study it like, I mean, a little bit like with more detail in case you have to review some concepts and all, right? Okay. And it says right here that a poem cannot be just Espondaic because if you make all words stressed, then I mean, like, it would not be like very musical, right? Imagine that all the words have the exact same tone. It is going to sound like a robot thing. So sometimes poems make mixture of different kinds of meter, right? It means that the lines have different feet and feet patterns. Sometimes they make the whole poem like with the same pattern, but sometimes they mix them. Okay, now the combinations of poetic feet have names, right? If in one line you have only one foot, it is called a monometer. If it has 2 feet, it's a dimeter. If it has 3, trimeter, 4 is a tetrameter, and 5 is a pentameter, and so on, right? It depends on how many foot you have in one line. Okay, and usually when we analyze a poem, we make a combination of these two terms, right? We first identify the pattern, and then we count how many times they have used the pattern in a line, okay? For example, we can say that a line is an iambic tetrameter. What does it mean? Well, that it has 4 feet that are iambic, right? We can say that we have a trochaic dimeter. That means it has 2 feet that are the pattern of, that are trochaic, right? And we name it like that. So what we do, I mean, we follow 3 steps when we are analyzing a poem. First, we do the syllable division and identify the stressed and unstressed syllables, okay? After we do that, okay, we count how many times that pattern has been repeated, right? So then we know, depending on the pattern, if it is going to be one of these 5, and if it is going to be a monometer or a dimeter or a trimeter. Okay. So a poem could be then an iambic monometer, right? It means that it has a line that has just 1 foot that is made of 1 unstressed and 1 stressed syllable. Okay. Or you could have a line that is an iambic dimeter. It means that it has 2 feet, right? That follow that pattern. And then 3, and then 4, and then 5, and so on, right? Or as I told you before, it could be a trochaic tetrameter, right? It means it has like 4 different feet that are trochaic. So that is a summary of it. In Aula Virtual, I am going to leave a practice for you to do. It is a poem in which you have to analyze the meter, right? You have to identify the pattern that poem has, and if it is an iambic or if it is a trochaic, and if it has lines that are a dimeter or tetrameter, and so on. So take it easy. Try to do the practice. If you feel like you have doubts or you don't understand it very well, we are going to check it next class. So I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.